And we are pleased to welcome back into the program attorney Brian King. How are you, Brian?
Doing well, thanks.
Fantastic. As we cover a lot of business news with Augusta Business Daily, we're hearing a lot more about people wanting to back other people in business. Maybe it had to do with the COVID situation, but it seems the people who are maybe not in jobs now are becoming entrepreneurs. Are you hearing a bit of this too?
Well, that's right. A lot of people have started businesses and invested in other people's businesses and helped other people get started. And I represent both, people, the people who are wanting to invest and the people who are companies who are seeking investors. So we can talk about that from both perspectives. But sometimes the person who's looking to invest money, they're looking for a set return on their money. Maybe they want to do a promissory note where they're loaning a certain amount of money to the company and then expect to be paid back over time with a certain set interest rate. Sometimes it can be that they're wanting to actually have an equity stake in the company. Mm-hmm. Maybe they get a small stake like 5%, 10% or something like that. But the risk is the company may go bankrupt or go out of business and they may not get that money back. And as you know, like when a company does dissolve, the creditors that get paid first are going to be the non-equity creditors, so the contract holders or promissory note holders and that sort of thing.
Employees would get paid first, maybe?
Well, the employees are going to get paid. Yeah, that's a debt of the business that's going to be paid because you've got to pay your employees. So
yeah. Makes great sense. What are some questions, looking at first from the investment side?
Yeah.
What should an investor ask an entrepreneur about their business to get the entrepreneur to maybe convince them?
Yeah, well, I think that the investor should understand the business and know what it's like Warren Buffett says when he talks about investing. He says he never invests in anything that he doesn't understand. Mm-hmm. And so take that advice and run with it, and get financial statements from the business. See how well it's been doing over the past years. If it's a existing business and not just a startup.
Yeah.
And ask for copies of the tax returns. If you've got a couple years tax returns, you can tell a lot about the company. Look at how much the owner is paying themselves. How much are they taking from the business, and and then maybe have some. You may want to have an employment agreement with the owner to kind of set that salary so that they're not taking more than maybe you think they should.
That's kind of risk and reward if they have more skin in the game.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah. So you may even want to set their pay on a performance basis, or at least part of their pay.
Sure.
If the company does well, they do well.
Yeah.
Because that's what you're looking for as an investor. You're looking for a return on your investment.
Yeah. And again, Brian's website is businessattorneylaw.com, businessattorneylaw.com. And then look at it the other way. Let's say I had a business, or let's say it's Augusta Business Daily, and I was trying to seek some extra capital.
Right.
What qualities should I look for in a partner or an investor?
Yeah, well, that's it. Partnerships or involvements with other people. When you invite other people into your business, you want to have people that you can trust, and you want them to trust you. It can make the biggest difference, in terms of being able to work well together. And even if you're not really, the investor may not be working in the business, but you're going to have conversations about the business. You're going to, where is the business going? What that sort of thing. And so as a company trying to raise funds, I mean, you could, issue debt by selling, or having promissory notes where you're going to pay back that money over time. And maybe you want to say, well, I'll take this money right now and I'll start paying you back a year from now or 2 years from now or whatever. Or when I hit a certain benchmark, then I'll start repaying the money, and making sure that they're on the same page with that. And sometimes getting a loan from a private investor can be a lot easier than going through, like, say, the SBA to get a loan. Now, a lot of clients have gotten loans from the SBA over this, the COVID time. And, you know, it's in addition to the stimulus funds, I mean, there were a lot of funds where you could borrow from the SBA. Now, with the SBA comes a lot of oversight. You know, if you're getting a loan from them, they're going to want to see all your financials. You're going to have to basically open up everything, you know, and show them and convince them to loan you the money. And then you're going to have to report every year on what your financials look like and how you're coming along and repaying that money or taking steps to do that. And so, you know, sometimes business owners don't want to go the SBA route because of all of that oversight and frankly, paperwork. You know, and so it's much easier when you have a private investor to invest in that way anyway. And so, you know, that's something I talk with my clients about is, you know, the different options when it comes to raising funds and whether they want to go an SBA route or a private investment, and then whether they want to sell equity to a potential investor and, you know, so equity or debt.
That's an interesting point because I bet the person giving the money thinks that the business is worth differently than the person that runs the business.
Of course, that
and
always happens.
How do you work that out?
Well, that always happens. And what I tell people is, you know, what you see is what you get. You look at the financials, and it's not what the company is going to be worth 10 years from now. It's what it's worth now. And because of the investment that the investor's putting in, it might be worth this in 10 years.
Yeah.
And
okay.
See, sometimes the owner is thinking, well, it's worth so much more than what the financials are showing because of all these things we're going to do. But they can't get to that point without the investment.
Yeah.
And so the investor wants to take that risk with that money to say, okay, I'm willing to make this investment.
Yeah, but what's the reward?
I'm going to share in that reward.
Yeah,
right.
And
right.
that, you know what? That's reasonable. That's totally fair. You ever haggle with an opposing attorney, meaning the business owner and the investor? Have you been in those kinds of negotiations?
Yeah, we've talked about that as far as the value of the business and, you know, whether it, I mean, there's been times when I've represented investors into a business or someone buying a business, even you're buying the whole business, because that's just another version of investing in a business, right? Buy the whole business, right?
Yeah.
And we've looked at the financials and what the plan for the business was, and just had to have a frank discussion with my client that this business is not worth what you were thinking about paying for it. And sometimes we negotiate and we get the price down, and I've saved my clients lots of money for that. And you know, now sometimes the business brokers aren't happy because they're getting paid based on the percentage of the purchase price. They don't want the purchase price to come down.
Right.
And, you know, but I'm representing my client in that transaction, and I've just got to do what's best for them. And a lot of times it's not just the purchase price that we're negotiating. We're negotiating the terms, whether there's a non-compete or not, whether how long that's going to be, and all kinds of things really, because the purchase agreements are several pages long, and they're going to, you know, whether there's going to be a consulting period, for example, is the old owner going to stay on for a 3-month period or 6-month period?
What's that worth?
Yeah,
right?
And how we're going to pay? Is he going to get paid something for that, or is the purchase price alone going to be enough? You know, and sometimes though the purchasers don't want to have. They want the old person gone. They
Bye everybody. Hit the beach, right?
Exactly. So they're ready for them to get out, and so they can start running things the way they want to run them.
Yeah.
So it really just depends.
Well, another good reason to have Brian King in your corner to get started, please visit businessattorneylaw.com. A lot of really good information. He's also a thought leader on Augusta Business Daily, and he's developing really quite an archive of articles and podcasts. And Brian, thank you so much for what you do. And thanks to the folks at GetUpProductions.com, the hosts of our programs here in downtown Augusta. All the information up on the screen. They'd love to talk to you if you'd like to share your messages and try to improve your business as well.